Today we're going to work on the next portion of UVing and texturing. So this will be, I think, part 4. And what we're going to do today is I'm going to show you how to export these UVs, import them into a program like Photoshop, and start getting our texture ready. So last video we had the legs already done, and we did the mustache and the body. So today let's convert all these. So I'm just going to go right click, go to UV, drag a box around all of them, and make sure they're all lit up. And let's get ready to export our file. So before I do anything, the one thing I want to make sure is that everything is within that first quadrant. So we want to make sure everything's within that box. Nothing's going overlapping each other or kind of going outside the box. It won't work. So I selected everything. I'm going to go to Image and then UV Snapshot. What's going to happen is we have these options come up right here. And we're going to change a couple things. Our file name, I'm going to go to Browse. And it should automatically go to the folder that we already set our project in. So I'm going to call this Mr. Mustache UV. And I'm going to hit Save. The image format, I'm going to make sure it's a TIFF. It's very important that we go with a TIFF because we're going to get rid of certain information that is usually available with TIFFs, and it will save us a lot of trouble later on. The next thing I'm going to make sure is that my size X and my size Y are 2048 by 2048. That's essentially just going to make the image size that big. I'm going to hit Apply and Close. And what I should end up having now is if I go to, where are you? My UV texturing folder, I should end up with a nice UV image like this. Okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to open that with Photoshop. So you can't really see too much right now, but my UVs are there. They're just kind of very tough to see. So right now I just opened my file in Photoshop. We're going to do a couple little things to this file. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Channels. And I'm going to make sure there's no alpha layer. If there is one, you just normally right click it and then delete the channel. Mine doesn't have it, which is perfect. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my first layer right here, which is my image. I'm going to drag it down here to create a new layer of it. Just a copy. It's always good to have an extra copy when you're UVing or doing things just in case you mess up and you want to start from the beginning. After that, what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to go to Image, Adjustments, and I'm going to hit Invert. What that's going to do is it should make all these things black, all the others are white. And that doesn't seem to want to work right now, but that's okay. What I'll do is I'll create another layer. I'm going to put it below that, and I'm going to fill this with, where is it? There we go. I'm going to fill it with white just to make it a little easier to see my UVs. So as of right now, let me expand this a bit. I have a backup layer, layer 1, which is just white. The top layer right here, which is my UVs. And we're going to create another layer above that. This way, we have a spot to work with. Now at this point, you have pretty much any freedom you want to do with your UVs or your texture. And that could be done with a lot of different things. So what I'll usually do is I'll first turn my opacity down a little bit, just so I let me change it to a color you could actually see. Let's go with this red. So I'm gonna go like that, just so if I zoom in right here, you can still see the lines and work on that. So you could go in with whatever tools you really want to do and pretty much color it in. So you could even take photos and place them over there. So I've had in other situations where, like for the shoes, for example, you could take a picture of a shoe, put the side of it, each side on there, and it will appear on your model. So what we're going to do right here, it's just very simple, is I'm going to paint him And let's just say I want to give him red shoes. So I'm just going to color it in just like that. It's perfectly fine to go outside the lines. Anything that's outside the lines is not going to show up anyway, so sometimes it's a little better to go a little bit outside the lines just to make sure that you have everything filled. So I'm just going to I'm going to leave the top and the bottom white. So I'm just going to go and I'll make the sides red. Just like that. I'll just go in, make the top and the bottom of it white. I'm gonna double check on that, make sure I got everything later. But for now, just kind of coloring in. Pretty simple. So let me just double check to make sure I got everything. I missed a little spot right there. I'm gonna lower the opacity back down. So let's say for the legs, let's give them some like dark gray legs. So I'll go fill it in like that. All I'm doing is just taking my mouse and coloring it in. You don't have to use Photoshop if you don't have it. You can use pretty much any art program that you have, either Paint or GIMP or pretty much any art program. Don't have to buy Photoshop to do this. It's just very basic UVing and texturing. There are other tools available that allow you to get a lot more detail, but we get into that another time if you want. So we got his feet, we got his pants basically. What could we do next? Let's go for his mustache. So I'm going to give him, I'll just say like a nice dark brown. Paint over those. Just like that. And let's see, what should we do for his body? Let's go a little crazier with color. So I'm gonna go and I'm just gonna go a little crazy with this type of person, Mr. Mustache. So let's see, we give him some green eyes, and this is just to kind of show exactly how your character is going to look. I don't know if this is going to look really well in the end, but we're going to give it a shot. So we'll give him that. Let's throw like some orange body in there. So I'll just take this, and I'm just going to go across the other side. I'm going to do the same over here, just so I have everything kind of neat with those stripes. And the rest, I'm just going to fill in. I might go over those green if I need, but all I'm doing is just kind of coloring it in. So he's going to look very weird, but that's essentially what we're going for with Mr. Mustache. Mr. Mustache is a creature of many different forms, and all of them are pretty much right. So let's just go. I'm going to actually just cover over the eyes and just put them in again. It'll be a lot easier. So all I'm doing, just adding some color to them. I'll go get him those green eyes again. I'll put them, let's shoot for right here and right here. That looks a bit funnier. So let's increase that opacity. And that's essentially going to be our texture. I think I see a spot I may have missed for his actual mustache. Don't want to miss that out. So let's color that in there. So this may look super basic, but it'll at least get the idea across. So the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to go to File, Save as. I'm gonna make sure it goes to my texturing. I'm gonna say you can save it as a TIFF if you'd like. I'm just gonna save it as a JPEG just to make sure everything goes neat. Doesn't really matter, so I'm gonna do that. And before I save it, I'm gonna change that to either color or texture. It's really up to you. So as long as you can remember what it is. Alright, save, hit OK, and that's all done. The next thing I could do is go back into Maya. I don't need my UVs anymore, so I get out of that. You can add a new texture for Mr. Mustache. So I'm going to go to Create, Materials. I'm going to give him a Lambert. Why not? Go to my color, File, and I'm going to locate my UV. There it is. Hit OK. And all I really need to do is middle mouse drag it to him and hit 6, and it should show up. So definitely didn't work out too well with the eyes, at least, but at least we got an idea of what we're going with. Kind of looks like he has a visor on now, which is kind of cool on its own. But if we look at him, his shoes look pretty nice. So we got the white on the bottom, white on top, red on the sides. He's got some gray legs. He got his mustache all nice and clean, and head, whatever. It's a head. But that's essentially all you really need to do when it comes to UVing and texturing a model. So I hope you found this super informative, and good luck making your own. Thanks.